Welcome to the premiere edition of the Dashless Report, 2010 version. Dash is not with us today. He's on assignment in Cuba, but we have Douglas Dweck, Vice President and General Manager of the Jersey Shore organization. Douglas, welcome back.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Also defending champion.
Yes, yes.
And our next special guest is back from the blast from the past, from 2006. He hasn't been seen. NRJ.
He's been playing backyard football, I think.
It's a pleasure to be back in the softball circuit. I've been keeping myself busy over the past 3 years, and I'm excited to get back to the baseball diamond.
Norman, last time we saw you, 2006, you had the distinction of maybe statistically having one of the worst years in YMSL history.
Yes.
Tell us, first of all, A, how was it going through that year? And B, what have you been doing since?
Well, the year was very, very tough. I had line drive after blazing line drive hit directly to many different defenders. But I did end off that season with a home run in my last at-bat, and so I wanted to end off on a good note. Since then, I've been scouting, mostly with minor leaguers, and a lot of mentoring also down in AA and AAA. Now I'm back in the major leagues and ready to go.
I'd like to see some of those guys who've been mentoring. Hopefully they have a future in the league. Ironically, this year, 2010, great news for the YMSL. We are expanding to 8 teams for the first time since the 1998 season. And there's a buzz around about the league this year. Had a practice last week, over 40 guys showed up,
Yep.
So looks like guys are ready and primed to go. What do you think, Douglas?
Yeah, it was a great practice. We have a lot of new kids, as usual, joining the YMSL. Eli Harari showed up. Pichotto was there. Just a lot of new players that showed up for the practice last week. We also have a new team, the Eligible Bachelors, which we'll get to, coached by Elliot Simhorn.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. They came in as a team. Honestly, Eligible Bachelors, that's about the only thing they got going for them. It could be a long year for the Eligible Bachelors. A lot of guys who haven't picked up a bat. You know, the YMSL stood for the Young Men's Surfing League. These guys would be in first place.
Right.
But,
have a good football playing
yeah.
team too.
Yeah, good athletes, but not much in the baseball department. But I think they'll be competitive, and that's all we can ask for.
That's where I'm going to disagree. I don't think eligible bachelors are going to be competitive at all.
No?
The over-under in Vegas is now coming in at 3.5, and I'm going with the under there.
Wow.
These guys are, some of them are not eligible bachelors. Carlos, Molivi, these guys are married, and the other ones are eligible for a reason.
So they're basically a mess.
So it's a mess. It's a mess. For those watching at home, 3.5, take the under.
Actually, that was pretty generous because I've been hearing about 1.5 too. So 3.5, I think anybody on that team would take that. So hopefully, you know, they put up a, you know, well, hopefully they wake up. That's number one.
Right.
You know, that's what we're hoping for, and you know, B, they stick around till week 2. So that's, you know, there's a couple of things they got going for them. But Simhorn has them pumped. They got at practice last Friday.
They also had a practice Friday.
10 guys showed up, and you know, it was they should be interesting. So that's all we could really ask for from that team. I mean, nobody's giving them much of a shot, so they really got nowhere to go but up. So you know, but really, if you look at it on paper, this league, this is probably the deepest draft I've ever seen in the YMSL.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, we had guys that were normally 3rd, 4th rounders going in the 7th and 8th. You know, you still had the usual 12th rounders like NRJ, but still other guys were, you know, really, it was depth-wise, it was incredible. So the first team we're going to look at is the Insane organization, captained by Jack Jemal. And one thing about that team, looking at it on paper, they have the deepest pitching staff in the league.
Yeah, they took Eshko, who wanted to be a pitcher, so they drafted him, and then they picked 2 other pitchers, or 2 other people that could pitch. I got Stevie Azer and David Azer, who pitched a little bit last year as well. So they'll have Stevie for a maximum of 8 games in the regular season. They'll have him for all of the playoff games. Should they make the playoffs, he's eligible to pitch all of those games. So they do have a lot of pitching. I think they could use a little bit more hitting. I don't see, hopefully Morabia could come back from a little bit of an off year. I believe he hit under 400. I don't know the exact stats, but I know they were, below that. So they need him really to come back to being the prominent player in the league. He was also the first overall pick in the league. So a lot's going to rest on his shoulders.
Yeah.
I personally didn't like that the rest of the teams were told that Jackie Ashkenazi is going to be solely used as a pitcher this year.
Yeah, that was...
And then they draft pitcher after pitcher, and obviously Eshko will be gliding in the outfield. Bad move by the insane organization. Not the way we like to do it. We like to be up and up. So therefore, I don't think that God is going to be on their side. God is going to frown upon that, and I think it's going to be a middle-of-the-road 500 year for the insane team.
Yeah, listen, they have Steve Azer, obviously one of the top pitchers in the history of this league, a Hall of Famer. David Azer, ironically, pitched last year, wasn't so good in his rookie season, but was an amazing shortstop when he moved there. But obviously, he's not going to get too many opportunities with Mo Shama. Also, Jack Abadi, right now he's rehabbing in Aventura League, so he'll be back by week 2.
He'll also be missing some games.
Yeah. And Chucky, of course, one of the top catchers around. I see them being a middle-of-the-road team. Again, you don't see too much power there, but they
do have Sammy Towell.
Yeah, Sammy
Towell. Sammy Towell.
So and Mo Shama always gets you far. So that team could be an interesting team, but certainly not a first-place team.
No, I agree.
I agree.
I think they're going to struggle to make the playoffs. I don't see the eligible bachelors making the playoffs, so there'll be a few teams that I think in the lower half of the league that are going to be fighting for the last playoff spot. This could be one of them.
Yeah, the next team is Maurice's Pieces, which NRJ is a member of, and on paper this team looks stacked.
I think it's the best team in the league, actually. Even going through the draft while they were picking, when they took Leo Pachotto and Stephen Safdie, those were 2 great picks in a row to get good hitting outfielders. Leo's coming off of a knee surgery, so it's to be seen if he could handle the entire season. But he's a great player and a great hitter, and I think they have probably the best, most rounded team. They also have a late pick in Jeffrey Sacco, who they got in the 7th round. So
definitely, I think Maurice's Pieces, besides for having the best team name in the league,
the best catcher in the league,
I think this team is the team to beat in the preseason. Anytime you could look at a roster and see Eddie Rishdi, returning batting champion, Maurice Haber, year in, year out, putting up mega stacks, Norman R. Jemal, another excellent player. Just this team has player after player. This is stacked. Jeffrey Sacco on the mound. I think this is the elite of the team.
And don't let the size of his mic fool you. He's a major hitter and can handle the bat. Don't let this fool you, even without the little fuzzy top. Put the fuzzy top back on.
Exposed.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Maurice's Pieces is obviously stacked. Jeffrey Sacco, they got him late. Supposedly he's only missing half the time, but not to be outdone, A.B. Hittery is an outstanding pitcher in his own right, and an outstanding hitter.
And they also have 2-time MVP champ in Eddie Rishdi. So also that was their first pick. Overall, it was the number 2 overall pick in the league. So.
And I think it was a mistake by the team that drafted first not going with Eddie Rishdi. And I know that management at Maurice's Pieces was thrilled to see Eddie drop to the number 2 spot.
We'd have thought that Maurice was going to take IKD. That was the talk days up until the draft, and then he just all of a sudden picked Eddie Rishdi, to the shock of some of the other captains.
Yeah, Peter Gammons was reporting that the whole week, but obviously it was wrong.
Well, besides for the baseball decision there's also a lot of marketing that goes into that, and I think Eddie Rishdi is more marketable for for the general public over Mr. Edid.
Right. The female fan base for sure
definitely
will be showing up to those games.
Yeah, and the only question I have on that team is the speed of the outfield. Could be a little slow, but other than that, they should be the preseason number 1 pick.
Yeah, and they also have Jordy Rebel playing third base, another real good rookie. into the next year.
Before we get to U.S. Marshals, now we have a word from our sponsors.